Hey everybody! Hey everybody, it's Dr. Nicole. Hopefully you guys are finishing up your chores, doing all of that stuff. Come on in. It's Tuesday night. You know we've got to have our Tuesday night conversation, so hopefully you are tuning in. If you are not a part of our Facebook group, hopefully you are checking us out, Live Like You Matter, the Live Like You Matter group. And Ask Dr. Nicole on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. So please come and join us so you can hang out with us for a while this Tuesday night as we are going to talk about the practice of happy. So I don't know how your week has been, but hopefully you checked out this article because it was placed on my Facebook feed. Again, Ask Dr. Nicole. And our website, AskDrNicole.com, Ask Dr. Nicole for all of our social media feeds. So hopefully, if you are not a part of the community, you can check us out. But tonight, we're going to talk about the practice of happy. Hopefully, you were able to see the article and see some of the concepts that I was talking about in it, because this whole conversation about happy is a pretty big deal. Everybody now is seeking in some way to figure out how to have a happier life. Hey Maisha, how are you? I'm glad to see that you're here. I was kind of trying to hold out for a little bit to see who joined us. So how are you? So here's the thing that I have figured out about happiness. And I don't know that it's going to be that big of a revelation to you, because a lot of people are saying the same thing. But we keep wanting something different to be said. It's going to have to come from inside. It's not something that happens outside of you. And that's why I think it's a practice. That's why I don't think it's just something that you can sprinkle some pixie dust on and all of a sudden you're happy. You might have a moment of happiness. So what do I mean by that? So I was reflecting on the lady who won, I think she won like $188 million. In that moment of winning that, I'm sure she was really happy. Hey, Maisha, I'm sure she was really happy in that moment. But then after that, life started to take place. So what we understand is the moments of things that may happen, actions that may happen, that may make us happy momentarily, they don't last if we don't have some practices on the inside that keep us centered and keep us focused on what's really important in our lives. So let's talk about some of the practices that I think really have helped me and helped a lot of people, and the things that I really think work. First and foremost, happiness is not trying to elude you. There is not a hidden camera somewhere that's playing a sick joke on you where happiness is trying to hide from you at every turn. That's just not how it is. But there has to be a place where you accept it's not trying to hide from you. It actually is one with you. It wants you to be happy. It wants to engage with you. It's not playing a sick joke on you where you then buy into nothing good ever happens for me. All of the big great breaks happen for other people, but that's not what I experience. When you start using that languaging, it's really depicting that you believe happiness is something that is for everybody else, but it's not for you. But then there are some other practices. Hey, Sherry! There's some other practices you have to think about. So how do you see many of the narratives in your life? So let's talk about that for a second. You remember a couple of weeks back in Facebook Live, we talked about your perspective and how you see things. And I gave an example of the fact that, I didn't always wear glasses, but now that I wear glasses, I have a different perspective on things like grass. Literally, I can see blades of grass. That was not something that I could see before. So my perspective is different. My perspective has changed on that thing. So there are narratives, there are stories in your life that some pull for regret, some pull for pain, some pull for making you feel like you're unworthy, some pull for making you feel like you missed an opportunity, and because of that, nothing is going to be as good because you missed that. But there are narratives where you hold the pen. There are narratives where you hold the pen. And people can say sometimes, well, no, I mean, what happened is what happened. That was what was true. So how do you change that? Well, truth is relative to perspective, is it not? So we both look at a tree and somebody says, tell me a story about that tree. We come up with two totally different stories. Same tree, we're both looking at it. That's the truth. It's the same exact tree. You may look at the tree and say, I don't see what the big deal is. It's just a tree. I may look at the tree and say, oh my goodness, the dynamics of a tree keeps us all alive because it helps to produce oxygen. No two leaves are alike. That is so fascinating. Do you notice we're still both looking at the same tree? Our perspective is very different on the same thing. So if you're the one that has the pen and you can navigate the narrative, do you have to look at it in a way that makes you feel horrible about your future? Do you have to look at it in a way that makes everything seem so permanent? Do you have to look at it in a way that says, oh my God, that didn't happen then, so there's no possibility for me in the future, and the only thing I can do is beat up on myself because it didn't go exactly the way I thought it should? That's a choice. Those are decisions that we all make, and if we're truthful about it, we have a lot of practice in using narratives that work against us. We have a lot of practice in looking at scenarios in ways that work against us. Okay, Dr. Nicole, give me an example. We will focus on the 5% of things that are not working in a dynamic and totally lose sight on the 95% of things that are working. That's a narrative issue. Somehow we have fallen into a pattern of seeing things in a way that make us feel like we're missing out, we dropped the ball, we're not exactly on point with our goals and our targets and all of these things, versus saying, no, I'm not as far as I thought I'd be, but I am much further than where I started. I'm going to celebrate that. I'm going to sit in that right in this moment. And I'm going to pat myself on the back because I'm the one writing this story. I'm the one writing this narrative. So why wouldn't I stop and celebrate myself just for a moment? Don't I deserve that? Don't I deserve for a moment to say, you know what? You've done really good in what you've accomplished. Sit with that for a second. Have some peace with that for a second. Break the pattern and the cycle of it being about all of the things that are not quite what you want them to be, so that you can sit a little longer in what is and appreciate exactly where you are in that moment. That's a practice. Hey there, Shakiva. That's a practice that is going to pull you out of the slumps in many different scenarios. Trust me. Think about a fair exchange, no robbery. A fair exchange, no robbery. Do you entertain things that tend to rob you versus offer a fair exchange where you can practice positivity and happiness in every moment? So, connecting with people that are always negative, connecting in situations that make you feel less than the person and the fabulousness that you are, surrounding yourself with the idea that more is better in every scenario, versus really sitting down and saying, okay, what is my return on having negative conversations with people? What is my return? Hey, Olga! What is my return on being in relationships and scenarios that perpetually take and perpetually try to leave me in a damaged space, in a space that has not been honored, or position me to not honor myself? Well, if those are robbery scenarios versus a fair exchange, why would you practice that and expect to land in a space of being happy and experiencing joy? Doesn't really work like that, right? So diminishing those scenarios in your life are going to maximize happy on a whole other level. And if you're in situations where you're like, okay, Dr. Nicole, how do I do that when I have a boss that I don't care for, or I'm in some work situations, hey Arlene, I'm in some work situations that don't work for me. Again, perspective, how are you going to engage, and then how much of your power are you going to give over to the negative? Whether that's in a work scenario, whether that's at home, listen, life is happening all around us, right? But if we give over our power to the negative situations by making the negative situations permanent, okay? This is always, this is never, using language like always, never, I'm never happy, this always happens to me, it's never good for me. You give over your power to the new moment being one that is new and filled with grace and filled with opportunity and filled with options. If you give over your power, it is really like giving over future time. If I give you my power, then what I'm really saying is the next 10 minutes won't matter because I've decided this unhappiness is to be permanent. Versus saying, you know what? The same way, today is not a continuation of yesterday. It's a new day. It gives me new opportunities to practice seeing the possibilities that I may not have seen yesterday. It gives me an opportunity to practice owning that I have the right to being in a space where there's more joy around me than sadness or anything else that's going to bring me down or make me feel like I'm not worth the happiness that is trying to be a part of my life. What about gratitude? Let's talk about that. People may want to diminish it as if it's not that powerful, because some may say, oh gosh, that gratitude thing, that thank you thing, it's such a warm fuzzy, and it doesn't change the fact that the bills still need to be paid. It doesn't change the fact that I may be having challenges with my children. It doesn't change the fact that there may be challenges in my marriage. No, it changes you. It changes the one thing that is most powerful in any change dynamic, you. Every time you say thank you for something that even intuitively you're like, it does not make sense that I'm saying thank you for this, but I'm going to say thank you anyway. Everything shifts around you to make room for the fact that you have gratitude in an impossible scenario. You have gratitude in a scenario that may bring you anxiety. You have gratitude and you're like, you know what? I'm grateful that this moment is a moment. I'll tell you guys something transparently. I lost my dad last year, and there are moments where grief will just creep up on me. It will just come in and creep up on me, and sometimes I feel like crying, and I do just that. I engage. I do just that. I let the tears out, and I say, you know what? Thank you that I'm still here, that I can feel the grief. I can embrace the fact that my dad has transitioned, and though I miss him, I know the memories will sustain me. So thank you for this moment. Sometimes it is not happening at an opportune time, you guys. So I'm not talking about, oh, I'm just sitting at home, I have a candle lit, and I'm just having a moment. I'm talking about I'm sitting in a group of people, having a conversation with a group of people, and just like that, it will come in and it will just rattle me. And I have to calm myself and say, it's okay. I'm grateful. I had a dad. I had a relationship with him. What can I look at in my narrative that will give me a practice of just being in gratitude, even in that moment? So I want you to think about some of the things that I've talked about. Hey, Lakita, think about some of the things that we've talked about in this Facebook Live tonight. And I want you to think about happy a little differently. It's not about what's happening outside of you. Happy is not connected to happening. Happy is not connected to happening. It's not about what's happening outside of you. It's about the things that you are practicing on a regular basis that help you to focus in, see, and have clear perspective on all of the amazing things that are happening in your life as a breathing, living, dynamic, fabulous vessel that God created. That's the happy thing. And some days it takes a little more practice. But the truth of the matter, some days it takes for us to open our eyes to what's real. Yes, there are bills and all of these things, but sometimes it takes to just stop, go outside, breathe in, recognize there are people that plan to wake up this morning. Their alarm clocks went off. The plan was set. Their iPhone was set with all of their notes and all of the plans and schedules and meetings. And when their alarm went off, they had already transitioned. So they're not even in the land of the living anymore. That's not where we are, you guys. Every opportunity is another chance to say, you know what? Yeah, this could be worse. But the truth of the matter is, it is not as bad as I might be willing to perceive it in my old state of mind. But now, I'm going to practice something a little different. How can I look at this narrative differently? How can I make this work for me? Is my attitude right now one that is going to rob me versus offer me something that I can use? Hey, cousin, is it something that's going to rob me versus offer me something that I can use? And can I be grateful for it despite the packaging? Despite what it's wrapped in, despite the bow being crooked, despite the fact that the box may be a little torn, can I just be thankful? Because if I can be thankful about this, I got a feeling that act of gratitude will let God know, let my friends know, let my enemies know, let everybody know that if I can have gratitude for that, I can be responsible for gratitude on a whole other level, and I can receive all of the big things and amazing things that are coming my way. Take that for a Tuesday night Facebook Live. Hope you enjoyed it, you guys. Check me out again next Tuesday. Remember, if you have not joined us on Live Like You Matter, the Live Like You Matter group, tell your girlfriends about it. If you have not, hey, hearts, hi, Sherry. If you are not following us, you know you got to do that because we want to talk to you. So you got to follow us on Ask Dr. Nicole, friend us, Ask Dr. Nicole for all of our members. Make it a good, great week, you guys, and practice happy. Why? Because you deserve it. Love you. Bye.